and the second statement on the 23rd of August 2013. In the first statement, he was a little vague. He said some files may not be available. In case they are asked for, we'll try and supply them. In para 3, he said, and I think this is extremely important because this was a methodology of concealing fair information. And I quote from his statement, CBI has inter alia asked for 157 applications, documents, which were prior to 28/6/2004, but have not been allocated coal, apart from few other files and documents. So the statement was paraphrased as though these are all pre-2004 files. On the same day, when clarifications were sought, he made a statement in the House, ये फाइलें कैसे मिसिंग हैं? ये सारे के सारे डॉक्यूमेंट 2004 से पूर्व के हैं. These are all prior to 2004. This was categorically stated. When members were not satisfied because reports were appearing that these are all documents between 2006 and 2009 and not the documents prior to 2004, he has now made a very interesting statement, which is an example of how the arithmetic of this government works. Para 4, he says, and he refers to the documents and files not supplied. These documents may be broadly classified as 43 files, 19 applications for coal block allotments, 157 applications of private applicant companies who had applied for coal prior to 28/6/2004 but have not been allotted, 17 other documents. The position is as under. And I'll just briefly read from this. In the first case, he says 7 files not available, efforts being made to locate them. 16 applications along with 157 applications are being searched. Out of 17 documents, 9 are being searched. So he subclassifies them into files, documents, applications, as they were all loose sheets of paper. If you total, it is not the impression of 7 files which has been given. It is 7 plus 16 plus 9 plus 157. This is the net total of whatever nomenclature you give them. You can call them files, you can call them papers, you can call them documents, you can call them applications, which are missing. And the impression given categorically is that these are those prior to 2004. Some may be, most are during the period 2006 to 2009. Sir, what is the substance of the charge against the government? That you allocated coal blocks in an arbitrary manner without charging any consideration. There was an act of nepotism. It was given to favorites. Important political leaders became name lenders and rentiers. They became sweat equity holders in the companies which were the beneficiaries. And therefore, those were the companies to whom these coal blocks had been allocated. This is the substance of the charge. And under the monitoring of the Supreme Court, this is being investigated. Therefore, it's an important matter. And that is why we were all constrained to trouble the Honorable Prime Minister and request you to kindly request him to be present when this issue is taken up, because these are clarifications he may have to give. Now, the magnitude is, there is a fraud on revenue. Large amount of revenue of the government has been compromised with. The court is monitoring this investigation, and right under the nose of the monitoring court, the subject matter of investigation, that is the files, the notings, they disappear. And this is on the premise that if there is no evidence, there will be no proof of crime. The third attempt is made to mislead the House by saying everything is prior to 2004. If you take, Honorable Prime Minister, the different parameters of what can constitute bad governance, fraud on revenue, contempt of court, breach of privilege. On the last occasion, I pointed out there is a possibility of contending there is a conflict of interest and destruction of evidence. So every conceivable element of bad governance is present there. And it's a case which has shaken the conscience of the whole society. And we are now faced with a situation that the files will not see the light of the day. And from the media reports which have been appearing, the files relate to those very specific cases where names of important functionaries close to the government are involved. My specific question, therefore, is, which we asked on the last day, which courts are also arguing, under these circumstances, destruction of evidence is a crime. Have you registered a case? Have you started investigating the case? Have you started taking the guilty to book? Have you started booking the guilty, those who are responsible for this destruction, or we have not started this exercise at all? What are the steps the government is taking to make sure that these documents reappear and that this investigation can be carried on to its logical conclusion? The courts will fix the penal responsibility. But who in the government, Mr. Prime Minister, is going to take the moral responsibility for this? And that is precisely why we were constrained to request you, sir, to request the Honorable Prime Minister to be present in the House to answer these questions.
Now, Shri